What up? What's going on? Yo, 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 what's going on? Yo, 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 what's going on? Got some coffee, got a shower, feel good. I think the mic is better now. It's not so hot. What charts do you want to look at? I know you had one. Yo, 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 Dylan, what's up? Yeah, what'd you ape into? Radium and Moshi heads. All right, sweet. Radium, man. That's one I've been bullish on for a while. Yeah, let's look at that one. Because I actually sold a bunch of my Bohemia ape into radium. I love radium. Let's go here. So yeah, this is a chart I'm pretty bullish on. You know, we'll start on the I think the daily shows it pretty well. You know, right off the bat, you have RSI getting up into this bullish control zone, and if it can get up and stay in here, you know, you can see like the last time it got up there and stayed up here, it crossed into the bullish control zone here, and it was a 400% move from just here all the way to the top when the RSI pegged out. So, you know, this is a pretty nice drive to start to start off this bullish action that's going on. The other thing too that I've been looking at is there's like a really nice harmonic that that was going on here. So you had this like big sell-off, and you had the sell-off in 2020. This is when kind of the whole market shit on itself, and it sold off a bunch. But you know, since July of last year, it's kind of putting in this big bullish Gartley pattern, which like there's actually a lot of projects, there's a lot of charts in the Solana ecosystem that look just like this. So you have the 618, another 618, and then you come down here to the 886, and you know it kind of spilled over here, but you're right along there, and I think that's what this line is. I charted where the 886 was. You know, you can adjust this a little bit to nail it in, but you know that's pretty freaking close. And you know, once it hit the PCZ right here, it started throwing in some bullish divergence, and it has been actually showing like a bunch of bullish divergence all the way since like the B point. So this is something I've been watching since summer of last year. You've had lower lows in price action, but you've had higher lows, especially on like the MACD right here. It's been pretty evident. You've had this like long run up of waning pressure to the downside. And so, you know, you started here with this one, and you can follow. You can, you know, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower low. But you know, this whole time, the MACD has kind of been, you know, you see the pressure to the downside waning. So, you know, recently, what was my trigger to start selling Bohemia, which, you know, ultimately it probably would have been better to stay more in Bohemia just because of the epic run-up that it's been in. But again, for like liquidity purposes, being in something like Radium is a lot like less risky, because, you know, if the market decides that it wants to shit itself right now, you can liquidate pretty fast. You know, you don't have to like, it's not like NFTs where like, oh great, I got all this profit, but like I'm stuck because no one will buy my bag. You know, unless you're like the hugest whale, you can get in and out of Radium pretty easily. So, you know, with the bullish divergence, with this with this falling wedge pattern that Radium was putting in over the last couple weeks, you know, you can kind of see this here, and you know, you had the divergence on the MACD down here. Let me get some more room here so we can actually like see this. So you had this like multiple drives, and then your real ticket was the bullish Gartley, bullish Bat, bullish Bartley, whichever you want to call it. Once it hit the PCZ, you got this like really epic RSI bullish divergence, and it was like multiple drives of it too. You know, you could, this pattern was like super evident, and you know, especially like when you paired this with the MACD coming out of the bearish momentum zone, and you also had stochastic down here that was like crossing to the upside. That was like the three signals right there that was like go time, right? And from there, you know, this asset's up 58%. Not a bad trade at all, especially when you consider that, like, you know, this is like the lowest risk area ever. But you know, now it's kind of see what happens, because the measured move out of just this consolidation, out of this falling wedge, is the top of the wedge, right? And so like it enters here. So you could argue, depending on where you draw this line, you could argue that the wedge started up here, right? And if that's where the wedge started because it entered and then it came down here, then the target would be something around here. I would use this horizontal in here. You know, this would be like a nice short-term price target, you know, if you're looking to trade that kind of thing. You know, with the idea that price action would come up here. And that kind of like, if you were to look at this red moving average is the 200 EMA, right? And so you got the death cross here, and ever since you got the death cross was in December, basically Christmas. And ever since then, it's followed this blue 21 exponential moving average pretty much to the downside. So, you know, if you were shorting this asset, which you can on multiple exchanges, you'd just be taking shorts like off this exponential, this 21. And, you know, the 21 is one of those moving averages that's on longer term time frames, especially like this on the daily. It's you can use it to kind of gauge the market. If you're above the 21, the market's generally bullish. If you're below the 21, it's generally bearish. And, you know, as you can see here, we're coming out of this falling wedge pattern, breaking above the 21, testing the 21 a couple times before breaking bull right here. And now, you know, we're heading up to higher prices. I would think, given the bullish posturing of the rest of the market, you know, a test of the $5 region coming back up to test this 200 EMA, like that would be a pretty good target, at least for the short term. Longer term, you know, obviously the targets for this big harmonic, you're looking at the B point for target 1, which would be like right there. And then you can also use the C and the A point as targets as well. So that's kind of what Radium's looking at, like on the longer term time frames. This is very much a cup with a very much extended handle. And these big M shapes are very indicative of like what assets have done in the past before moving to like, you know, much higher prices. Amazon did a similar thing, and I use this example all the time because like Amazon came to market in like the late 90s, and it's, where's Amazon? Come here, buddy. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So Amazon, if you go out to like the monthly, this is like one of the most epic harmonics that ever played out, ever, if there was one to play out. So Amazon looks like pretty much like all the shitcoins on Sol right now. Like literally. You had this giant, you know, Amazon started trading back here in June of 27, and it came up here and it did this like huge harmonic over like, 4 years, 5 years, and did a similar thing. You know, you can come down here and you can see it kind of made this, did I lock that? I did lock that. Oh, okay, hold on. So it kind of made this like falling wedge pattern after it did the full retrace on a shark. You know, if you come down here to this level, you're looking at like 886 retracement level. And that was like the all-time low, like forever. So M shape, shark-ish, what you want to call it. And then it was pretty much the monthly 21 to the upside from there. And now granted, you know, Amazon is like tangible business. They have, you know, warehouses and shit everywhere. So, you know, will crypto perform like this? I have no fucking idea. But like, if you look at this chart and then you come and you look at like let's look at fabric. Charts. Let me pull it up over here. Okay, so this is charts at cointrader.pro, and this you can look at pretty much any shitcoin you want to look at, and it uses, as long as it's on CoinMarketCap, it will give you a chart. So I'm just going to use Fabric right here because this is like textbook. I think it's this one. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, and this doesn't have any of my settings. That sucks. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with this much right now. I'll mess with it later. But you can see, like, M shape. And there's, like, price action that you can't see on this chart because it was before it was on CoinMarketCap. So, you know, it was down, like, when they did the airdrop, it was like a penny. Or, like, maybe, like, 8/100ths of a penny. And so, when you draw the harmonic, you would start down here because that's where price action was. And it's like doing this. So, you know, is this the start of this? You know, Solana's only a couple years old. This is the kind of movement that BTC did. So, you know, one cannot deny the coincidence, the confluence. And then if you look at a chart, we'll go back to Radium. Let's go back to Radium. So this is the monthly on Radium, and obviously it's so new, you don't really want to use the monthly. If you go down to like the 3-day, like there it is, man. There it is. And if you're looking at Wyckoff stuff, this cyan line, this would be the creek. This would be the creek. And this could be the start of what is the spring that breaks the creek, comes up, back tests the creek maybe once or twice, and then comes up to much higher prices. And you know, the targets for here would obviously be the A and C point and the B point. But this is kind of what I'm looking at with Radium and several other of the Solana ecosystem shitcoins. So yeah, let me find the chat. Where are you guys? There we go. Yeah, pretty much. Radium could be really long-term bullish. This could be like the all-time low, like forever. And given the fact of like everything they're releasing, like one could make the argument, you know, that this is the all-time low, and it's not going to go lower. Chart Luna and Ori. All right. I'm going to go with Dylan. Dylan wants Ori. Let's go to Ori. I'm sure that's an NFT. So let's bring up Soul Sniper. Aurori. What's the artwork on this look like? Ooh, fancy. These are kind of neat. $490 sold. Wow. What's the floor price? 38. All right, cool. Let's look at the chart. All right. So, again, now we're going back to like the shitcoins of the shitcoins. NFTs are even more shitcoin than shitcoins. So, there's not going to be a ton of analysis, but you know, you kind of have this, I suppose you could draw, you could look at this. And then also at this, you know, that might be something that seems like it could be something of importance. I don't know. Come on. Make this one bigger with perps. So that's something that I would be looking at. You know, maybe it's more of like this kind of shape where it's like the descending broadening wedge. Yeah, something like that. I think that's probably it. And you can see like it did it here too. Like this. So it's kind of like making this like orderly, like inverse, like Gonfan kind of look. And, you know, I would be bullish here, except for, I'd be bullish on this asset long term, except for, you know, you're kind of at the target for this breakout. You know, if you're to measure this and you come up here, like, you're there, you know? So is this a low, based on what we've been looking at before, would you consider this a low risk area to buy into this asset? I wouldn't think so. Could it move from here? Absolutely. But, you know, it's also likely that it could, you know, do something like this and then, you know, go up from there. So, you know, definitely want to keep watching. It's definitely bullish. Would I be a buyer right here? I don't know. You know, that's something you got to gauge yourself. What's the, you know, the RSI as well. Like, you know, RSI is up there on the 6 hour, and the 6 hours, that's about as big of a chart as you want to look at on something like this. Cause it's only, this chart's only a month old. You know, as these charts like develop more and, as they develop more and become more mature, it'll get easier and they'll get more accurate. But yeah, Ori definitely not something I would be buying just yet. You know, you want to look for, identify areas where the RSI is below 30, and there's technically, if you want to call it like an oversold region, because you would be buying at these levels, you know, at these levels down here. The idea, you know, you're buying low, selling high, right? And most of the time, if you look historically, you know, if you're buying at RSI levels above the 70 mark right here, you're dealing with consolidation. Like if you bought here, you were at a loss, you know, for the last month, through most of the last month, except for like this little upthrust right here. So so that's my take on Arari, whatever you want to call it. You want to look at Luna. This one was like flying off everybody's radar a while back. Is it still? Luna USDT. Let's try that. Huh. Well, one would say this is bullish. The 3-day, just in an uptrend right now, you don't really want to draw like a horizontal. Like if I was going to draw any kind of horizontal line right here, it'd be something like this. And you know, this is the breakout. So, you know, again, this is like a relatively new asset, so like, yikes. Turn that off. All right, cool. Come on. There we go. So yeah. So the 3-day on Luna is something like this right now. Let's go look at like the daily. That might give us a little more information, be able to break it down a little bit more. So yeah. We could do something like this. And you know, is this an ascending triangle that is breaking bullish, or are we doing something more, you know, like this? Where's the point that we can connect to? Can we connect to this point right here? Or is this realistic? You know? We do have a cup and handle forming. If we go into like, let's go look at the 4 hour. Yeah, so, you know, you have that cup, and then you have an ascending triangle acting as like the handle. So if you target this breakout, could look something like that. And let's see if that lines up with anything. You know, does that, if we take a fib, does that, you know, we would take it from here, obviously. We'd have to come really in here to kind of get this level accurate. But that's relatively there. What does that line up with? Yeah, honestly, that would line up with a, roughly with a test of like the 1618. So that would be like a, you know, a bullish breakout from this zone right here could be a bullish, you know, could be the 1618 target. And if you're doing it harmonically, you could also measure it out like something like this, like something like this. And then, you know, if you're looking at just this consolidation range, this would be like the 1618. So that could be a target too. Something like that. But it's all, I mean, you know, this is all going to depend on Bitcoin. And, you know, Bitcoin is really bullish right here. It's, you know, it's doing a lot of stuff. You know, the bearish case for Luna, if one were to look at it, we could adjust this to this and get rid of this harmonic. And we'll get rid of these. So the bearish case here would be something like this. You know, where does this stop? We still have to see, you know, because we're still in price discovery right now. But, you know, the bearish, if one were to draw, if you're connecting multiple points, this could be multiple points right there. And then let's bring this tool over here. Where's the brush? Give me the brush. There it is. So this could be something like this shaping up, and then a test back down. These rising wedge patterns are often like that. Let's see. Turn off this brush. Let's see what if there's any clues on the oscillators. So, you know, this is the 4 hour, and you do have. This is not confirmed yet because you haven't got to back off from this. You know, you haven't had a reaction up here yet, but there could be argument for bearish, class A bearish divergence forming on the MACD right here. Like that. Right there. So that could be one argument for this case. And, you know, if you measure this range from here, that could set up a target, something around here, which would also be, let me get rid of this fib levels. Come on. So this kind of bearish resolution here would line up with a retest of this previous resistance right here. Looking left, boom, you see that? So basically since December, well, this can go all the way back towards here. So basically since November of 21, this horizontal has been kind of an inflection point. You get above it, yeah, it drops back down here to test the 200, but you're above it again, and then when you drop below it, it kind of uses it as resistance. So now that you're above it again, and you're printing a bearish resolution pattern, it's not out of the question to come, and because you really haven't tested it yet. I mean, it's been bull pretty much the whole way. So, it wouldn't be out of the question for this to come down. And, given some time decay, for this to play out, this could be a pocket right here, like a little buy pocket, if it were to hold. The other bearish case here is you have this like rising broadening wedge, right? And that's also a bearish pattern. You could do it something like this. This maybe brings a little more like influence onto it, and you can see like this rising megaphone, and it broke out here, couldn't stay above it, and then once it broke back down below this line, it came all the way down to kind of test this, if we move this in like this, to kind of test this zone. And so that could be shaping up again. If you bring this line in closer, you can see that we're a little bit closer, given this, which is actually more accurate because you have more touches. When you're drawing trend lines, the more touches, the more accurate the analysis is going to be, right? So like, depending on how you draw this, I could almost like remove this and bring this down here, and now you'd be at the resistance point. If you make this arrow red, it's we're gonna have to wait and see. If it breaks this and holds above it, then it's game on, right? But rising wedge pattern, or rising broadening wedge, here's the idea behind it. One second. Something like this. So these have a 55, 60% chance. This article says 80% chance of bearish exit. I don't know about that. I think more you want to err on the side of pessimism in these cases. So I would say like 60 to 70% chance of bearish resolution. But generally, broadening wedge patterns are bearishly resolved. And like the target, if you come back to the start of the pattern, would be $23. Which, let's see if that lines up with anything. So let's come down here. We could do, this is roughly the start of the pattern. Drop that there. Oop, get rid of that. And then let's, you can use a harmonic to measure that out. So if we started here, this is the 618. Like it's every time it's the 618, the 5, the 618, and then come down here. What does that line up with? Oh, the 886. So like, this is the kind of shit that you're looking for. This is it. If you're bearish, that's the move. And you're shorting from here. If you're bearish on this asset, which traditional technical analysis tells you that this has a 60 to 70% chance of breaking to the downside over time. And you got to remember, this is a 4-hour chart. So, you know, it's going to, you know, it's not just going to dump straight down. You know, you would think it's, you know, it's going to likely take its time. If this is the route that it takes, you know, it's going to, over time, something like that, right? I think the moral here on an asset like this is, like, you don't want to be buying. You don't want to be buying here. Like you want to be buying here, you know, at areas, you know, if you've been watching Luna, you'd be watching back then, which I was not watching Luna. You'd be watching this. You know, you'd be watching this. You see that? And you'd be looking, you know, you'd have this trend line drawn in, and you'd be able to see that you're getting an accumulation here, you know. So you bottom, you put in an inverted head and shoulders, good old cock and balls pattern, and then you make higher highs or higher lows, higher low, make a slightly lower low here, but you also have class B bullish divergence. Oscillator makes a similar bottom, price goes lower, and then you get a rip to the upside. You also have a harmonic here too. That would have been an indicator that you could be looking at too. So, you know, you have this M shape, XABCD. This is a Gartley, it looks like. Yeah, something like that. You know, again, 618, 886, 786. Type 1, type 2, here's your go time, boom, straight to the upside. I mean, it was there. That's the trade. This is the buy. You want to be buying down here. You don't want to be buying this. All right, we cool on Luna? Yeah? All right, cool. Are we doing mochi heads? What do we think, chat? What do you want to look at next? Anyone? Mochi heads? Where's the floor price? Let's see. Mochi. 275. I think this one, me personally, I think this one's kind of sleeping right now. Only because there's all the hype surrounding all the other projects that have been like announcing that they're listing on OpenSea. Like, yeah, we're all listing on OpenSea and Mochi Head's not on that list. But they've got staking coming out, like, I think within the next week. And their supply is only like 3,000. So, you know, if you value it based on some of the other NFTs in the space, it's very undervalued, even at, you know, 2.75 sold. And here, look, you can see this. You can see all the wicks. This is the hourly, right? But like, there's strong support in this, like 2.5, and you're showing accumulation. You're making a low, a higher low, higher high, higher low again. So you know, as you're making higher lows, this is classic accumulation. This is a harmonic that played out right here. This harmonic played out as the handle of the big cup and handle. Look at this. This is about the 1618. The 1512. That's pretty freaking close. And then your targets of this bearish harmonic were here and here. And so you had the bearish, was this like a butterfly? Bearish butterfly. Type 1, type 2 return, and then you get your sell-off to the target. And you're showing buyers accumulating at the target of the bearish harmonic, right? And this is all happening as in the handle of this broader cup and handle, right? Move that down a little bit. So you have a cup and handle with signs of accumulation. This is an uptrend. This is an uptrend. May not seem like it, but you have a high, higher high, higher low. As long as this, 230 levels hold, you're in an uptrend. And given the fundamentals in the space and Magic Eden and all that kind of stuff, excuse me, one would have to be bullish, and it's not a bad buy zone here. The other thing too, like, not that these work 100%, but you can apply like trend lines and stuff to all sorts of. If it's got a chart, you can look at it and is the volume. I mean, here, explain this. Rising wedge on the volume or on the listing chart. This is the amount of listings, right? So you could literally plot the listing chart and use that to strategically plan your buys. Oh, okay, here, look at price is at a bottom. You're bearish on the amount of listings. As listings go down, price goes up. And this is why, having a chart with NFTs is like, because it's now you're not just like, oh, I think oh yeah, 275, yeah, I think that's cool. It's good art, oh yeah, hey, let me buy this. No, like now, here's a fucking map, right? And if you can look at this and you see this, what do you think price is going to do? It's going to do this. And what's the next level, right? Where's your next resistance? You got a bunch of scam wicks up here from early on in the project, but that's still resistance levels. Look, 1, 2, 3 people. 5 is your resistance, right? Major resistance. So if you take this zone and you figure something like this over time, it's not going to happen tomorrow. But you measure this. Ooh, wait, what happened? Come on. I don't want that one. I want this one. Just measure this. Ooh, baby. What are we thinking here? 10? What does that line up with? Oh, looking left. Lines up with this. You can't fucking make this shit up. Like, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. If you have any doubts that TA is effective at analyzing all markets, explain how that happens. You can't, because it fucking works if you know how to apply it. Cool, we're good on Moshis. The other thing to be watching, though, I should say, we always got to consider the bearish side, right? So we don't smoke too much opium. So, if we bring in the cipher pattern and, whatever happens bearish on Moshis, here's the 5, 1, 3, 1, 2-ish level, and then, a retest of the 768, which also lines up of a retest of this ascending. This was like, I think this is where I was like starting to get bullish on Moshis, because this was if we get rid of this like cup and handle, this was like a cock and balls, right? You got this like inverted head and shoulders. You got this neckline right here. You got a low, lower low, higher low, neckline breaks, and you run up to test prior resistance, right? And so this could be, this could be a stop on the trip for Moshis. It wouldn't be out of the question to say, hey, we do this, and then we do this. That would be confirming previous resistance as support, that's insanely bullish. My one argument for it not getting down there, though, is look at this. If you bring this back over here, like this is a solid base of support right here. Solid base of support. It took forever for this to break down, right? And when it did, you know, it lost 50% of its value. 40% of its value it lost, you know, and at the low, it was even more. Yeah, 45% of its value it lost, right? So now that you're back above that, and you already confirmed it once, and you're now confirming it a second time, and you're putting in big wicks on the hourly, oh, it's a low risk. It's as low as risk as you're going to get, with all the ingredients there for greatness. I'm out of coffee. I may have to get more coffee in a second. XLM. That's on the list here. All right, so that's what I'm looking at, Moshi. $2 support. Well, for now, $2.50 support. If it breaks down to two soul support after that. But you know, your risk reward here is pretty great. And you know, their staking's coming out any day, so cool. XLM, man, I haven't heard that name in forever. XLM, I gotta find that one deep in the charts. Here, I'll just search it. XLM. XLM. Let's use the Bitfinex one because that's like the oldest one. 4 hour golden cross, breaking above the 4 hour 3. This blue moving average is the 377 moving average, which is a long moving average that I don't know who. Maybe I picked it up from Crown or something, but it's a good moving average to follow because generally, like on the longer scales, it acts as a pretty good floor or ceiling, right? So let's look at so I clearly had this plotted from a long time ago because I haven't looked at this chart years. It's been years since I've looked at this chart. So this was the COVID dump breakout, I think, right? Yeah, 2020, where just everything went ham. And you had the same kind of deal, right? Falling wedge, purple ice line, supply line, call it the creek in Wyckoff terminology, because you have this line that's just it's just a downward resistance. You have the spring, you jumped the creek right here, and you back tested the creek before putting in the 3-day golden cross. And this is like a perfect example. This is what you want to see after a golden cross. You see a big impulse candle. It even like threw down like a harmonic right here. Like, I'll zoom in, you can see it, but you know, you hit the golden cross, then you get a sell-off, tests the golden cross, confirming the validity. Once, you don't know, then it accepts it the second time, and then boom, it was like what, like a year, like straight up, or a year of like uptrend, you know. And you know, this is another one of those. If you're watching this chart and you're looking for like the bullish sign, you could zoom in here, and there's a harmonic. There's look at the M shape right there. Looks like a Gartley or a bat. Or, right here. There's the 618, 886, and the 786 again. Type 1 impulse, come back down using the base of this candle as a type 2 return, confirming that, you know, confirming that this EMA is in fact support, and then boom to the upside, you know. So as far as like where we are now with XLM, you kind of have a similar thing. Like there's a lot of charts that are showing this. So ideally, like when you're looking at harmonics, you want to see harmonics forming at the base of a downtrend, right? So this is like the blow off top from last year in May, June, whatever it was. I remember this morning it sucked because I was super fucking bearish and I was listening to everybody else. Everyone's like, oh, it's gonna moon, we're going to 100K. And I didn't fucking sell anything and I rode this whole candle down. Sucked. Not in XLM, but like in the other markets, right? You know, Sol like went from crazy to like $25 or something. But you know, we've had this sell-off, and now you have another harmonic. Similar to like some of the projects on Sol. 786 retracement. You know, this would be considered more of a shark because you have a higher high, and then you have a. If you were to plot this as the shark, as the PCZ, this would make sense. You know, you have the 886 here. You could also use this. Open this. Oh no, I don't want Photoshop to open. Close. We'll open this with preview. Go away, Photoshop. So, where is it? Open with paint. So yeah. So you have this like bullish shark. Right here. You know, this one. Kind of shaping up here. If you extend this down here, you're at like the 11312, and then the same kind of deal, which with what's been happening generally across the market, is you have this downward supply line where the lows are getting less and less, right? And since the daily, you really want to use the candle bodies here because that's most of the data. You know, you get these scam wicks below, but those are just extra sellers. You know, could be stop losses, things like that being triggered. So again, you have this bullish shark, and now you're breaking out here. But again, you know, until you break this 25-cent high right here, this is still just a lower high, right? You have high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and you're still working on, you know, another lower high. So I would not get, if you're not in a trade now, you know, you're likely at resistance or very close to resistance. And, you know, maybe you'd be looking at a move like this to come and test the creek again to confirm it as support before moving higher, you know. And, you know, you can extend this out even to here, and that even further, you know, makes this pattern a little more valid because, you know, these trend lines go all the way up to there, you know, and one could use any of these points as a target, you know, and this could be something like this kind of price action could set up an inverted head and shoulders, you know, where you get, you know, you get the low, lower low, you get a higher low, and then, you know, the measured move would be something like this. You and what would that line up with, roughly with this zone of consolidation, so it makes sense thinking about it that, that could be a target. Are we cool on Stellar? That's kind of where I'm at right now. Friend told me he sees XRP above 350. How he sees that? Just hopium or strong infos? Let's see. I haven't looked at XRP in like forever. Yeah, this falling wedge, you come all the way back here, like it totally makes sense. Could be like just an epic bull flag, something like that. And at that point, you're looking 80 cents, 70 cents up here, like, full adoption crypto, XRP. Do Bitfinex. Again, another harmonic. Interesting. Yeah, so again, this is another chart that I like. I used to use red and green like this all the time. I haven't looked at this chart in, again, like a really freaking long time. It's kind of cool to see how even back then, the idea kind of played out. Just had to, this line just has to be adjusted a little bit to something like this, right? Same with this one. I think I charted this one with maybe like the weekly, and I used like the wicks. That's why it lines up like that, because on the weekly, the wicks stop there, and on the daily, you're looking at something like this, and like this is like a perfect example too. Like it's fulfilling these patterns, like if you kind of take the average, there's like a consolidation range if you zoom in here, where you've had like multiple points of like resistance, right? And if you just shoot like a horizontal off from there to the right, something like that, it lines up with some resistance points where XRP is currently struggling. The cool thing is though, is you have accumulation. Like your buddy, he might not be smoking hopium, because the all-time high up here is 329, right? Yeah, it doesn't surprise me like that a lot of them are, he probably bought like a long time ago, because most XRP isn't necessarily like a newer thing. It's like all the XRP fanboys were around like 2018, 2017, like that whole era. So, maybe they're still holding from back then. But yeah, look at it. I mean, you're showing accumulation. Let's make this cyan so we don't get any confirmation bias. You have this symmetrical triangle. What's going on? And so within this symmetrical triangle that's shaping up, there's multiple things going on, which are actually really cool. So locally, you have, oh yeah, see, he did buy in 2017. So for sure, like, it doesn't surprise me. I have like other friends that like bought the top and they're like still waiting for XRP to go to like $3. So this is kind of showing the same kind of pattern as like as Radium was, right? And like, and quite frankly, like I could show you like a bunch of charts that are like this, right? And so you have this like pennant pattern, and you have this like big sell-off where it bottomed, and you got divergence. This is class B. So price makes the same bottom, the oscillator makes a higher low. The price makes a double bottom. Class B bullish divergence. And then we see a harmonic. We'll switch to the XABCD. I have this, what is this? 618, is this a Gartley? Yeah, so the 886, like to the T, and then look at this. Yeah, like 886 pretty much with a little scan wick below it. But like 886 in this consolidation zone is like right there. So, you know, you're already, XRP tested up into the bullish control zone once, got rejected. Sold off, made a high low, showing accumulation, and is now working on getting back up into the bullish control zone, right? We have stochastic crossing down, but this is big. If XRP can get up into this bullish control zone a second time, like look here, came up, got rejected, went sideways a little bit, and then once it got up into the bullish control zone, it was like a few weeks of like bullish action. And this coming up into the bullish control zone with a break of this big supply line right here, with the harmonic behind it, the momentum of this harmonic behind it would be pretty insane. Now, price action currently is at the first target, or breaking above the first target right here, because B point would be the first target. But you're also making an inverted head and shoulders pattern as well. So if we were to like zoom in here, you have this inverted head and shoulders that it's breaking, or that it broke a few days ago. You know, the neckline's a little bit crooked here. But you have this, and I'll delete the harmonic just so you can see it, but actually, you know what? Let me do this, because this is how I would plot it, so we don't forget about the harmonic. We'll leave it like that. So, you know, without this huge dump right here, you're printing this inverted head and shoulders. So buyers push the price down, it gets bought up, they sell off again, makes a lower low, makes the head, and then you break the lower low pattern. So you have low, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You broke the lower low pattern here briefly, just for here. Actually, you did, because this would be the low. So you made a low, lower high, another lower low. But if you're basing it off this could be a higher low or a higher high, and then a higher low before we break this demand line. And like that's kind of your reasoning behind the inverted head and shoulders, is that, you know, this second leg, there's not enough sellers left to push the price down any further, and, you know, only buyers are left, and the price breaks out from there. So yeah, you got to be you know, pretty bullish on XRP, and, you know, given this pennant breakout, you could take this distance and plot it here, or you could take the flag. I find this is a more accurate representation if you take like halfway, because you're splitting the middle. Come on. Oh, I'm gonna hit the right key. No, I don't want to select both of those. Come on, trading view. There we go. User error. There we go. So something like that. You know, and where would that put the target? Yeah, see? So if you charted that, and then you drop this horizontal line in here, one could make the argument over time, over the coming year, that price action could follow something like this. And then at which point, you know, that would be your argument. And I bet you, if you take the measured move from here to here, it'll fit right there. Yep. There you go. XRP 330. That could be your argument. So, you know, which one's going to 3x first? XRP, Solana? I think Solana has more hype behind it, right? It's like the top 3. Is it still number 3? Much more than XRP. And it has more of a use case as well, right? Like Solana is like a smart contract platform. So there's going to be a lot more like use cases for something like Solana than just like XRP, right? Well, Solana's now 8th. Interesting. So maybe I got to insert my foot in my mouth. I don't know. You know, it'll be interesting. There's only a couple, like $1 billion difference in valuation between, you know, Cardano, XRP, and Solana. So, so it's definitely going to be a horse race, right? AVEX. All right, cool. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to go make myself a cup of coffee. And I'll be right back. Oh. Yo, yo, yo. All right. Oh, got some coffee. Yum. Oh, so good. Take it easy, man. We'll see you. Go to sleep. Sleep is important. AVAX. Let's look at AVAX. Avalanche. There was a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of guys in one of my private TVA things that talk about Avalanche all the time. Or I haven't looked at it. Interesting. Bullish harmonics going on. Wow. So April 21. So this kind of did a similar thing, right? So what is this? The butterfly. The 786 retracement is a butterfly, I believe. You know, and again, falling wedge pattern. Jump in the creek. Although this one never even back tested it. It just jumped the creek right here, and it back tested the 21 has support, and it was gone, man. You know, yeah, if you were to draw that out, you know, it jumped the creek right here, didn't even make it all the way down there, just hit the 21 and boom, it was gone. So where are we at now? I mean, you got to be bullish here. It's in a bullish posturing, right? So you can see the M shape. This looks like a Gartley or a Bat or a Bartley, which is a Gartley with an 886 deep retracement. Yeah, so you know, one could use that level, or you could use this level too. This would make more sense, I think. So you had the type 1, and then you had in between the type 1 and the type 2 return, you had another cipher pattern, like a smaller one, on the intraday. So if you were to go in and you know, zoom in a little bit onto like the 4 hour, you'd have another M shape. That was like another clue as to the bullish resolve of this, you know, little cipher. And then too, you know, you have this bullish divergence right here too. So you had the cipher and the low, type 1, type 2, with the bullish divergence on RSI and MACD, right here to here. Big ones on the RSI and MACD. So there you go. There's the divergence. Ugh. You know, and then you hit the targets. You hit the targets before selling off. But you know, you're seeing accumulation right here. Higher low, higher low. Now we're making higher highs. And, you know, you have a larger harmonic. Also, you know, showing what could be an ascending triangle, something like this. Something like that, right? And that lines up with that resistance point. So what are we going to do here is, is AVAX, is this going to act as resistance? Is this the short-term high, if you will, for the next couple days? There is Class B bearish divergence on the RSI and Class A bearish divergence on the MACD. Definitely wouldn't be buying right now. If you're not in a position, now is not the time to be entering. But one could be looking for a test of this demand line if we were going to make it down there for a lower risk entry to where it is now. I mean, really, you want to be buying this asset, down here. You buying this resistance is just, it's just asking to get wrecked. Yeah, could it moon? For sure. For sure. We could see green dildos to the sky and everybody's going to dance around and be happy. Could also do this and sell off 30%. And then you get 30% more for the same thing. So she also got this this trend line too, So the argument could be made if this breaks, if this purple resistance does break to the upside, the argument could be made that we could see much higher prices. But again, like it all comes down to what Bitcoin wants to do here. What's it doing? This is the chart that I had plotted. Ascending triangle. But, it needs to really get going here if one is to think that it's not going to turn into something like this. This is what I would be watching for. You really want to see this level break. All right, cool. I think that's it for me today. Maybe I'll go live later. We'll see. If everyone's hanging out in the Discord, I'll let you know. I think only one person's left anyway. So thanks for coming by. We'll see you next time. Peace.